Distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is James Morn. I'm speaking to you from Dubai. I'm director of Volker and Associates. And this is day 2 of the UAE-China Culture Week. And throughout the 5 days of this Culture Week, we explore the rich cultural connection between the UAE and China. And today our theme is Expo and Museum Culture, from Shanghai to Dubai. We have an amazing lineup of panelists. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. We have Ms. Lorelei Liu, Director of the World Expo Museum in Shanghai, with a magnificent background. I think we're all, when we can travel again, we'd love to come and see your amazing museum. We have Mr. Leith Carlson, Executive Director of the Museum of the Future. It's going to be an amazing icon of Dubai. So excited about visiting that too. Ms. Maha Al-Gagawi, who is Vice President of Political Affairs at Expo 2020 to Dubai, which is going to be hosted next year. And we're super excited by that. And Mr. Fang Kei, Deputy Director of Division of World Expo Affairs of the Department of Trade and Investment Promotion for CCPIT. So to start the discussion, I would like, if possible, to introduce everybody, and then they could maybe give a little bit of a background about their institution, and then we'll go into some specific questions that we thought about and rehearsed in advance. So I'd like to call upon Ms. Lorelei Liu from World Expo Museum. So maybe give maybe 2 or 3 minutes of explanation about the World Expo Museum.
Okay. Good morning, dear panelists. It is my pleasure to join in this panel discussion of the culture and museum and expo field. First of all, it is my pleasure to give you some pictures and brief introduction of our World Expo Museum. As you can see from the slide, our museum is a very new one, opened just on the May the 1st of 2017. It covers a land of 4 hectares with a total construction area of 46,550 square meters. It is one of the largest museums in Shanghai, maybe top 5 in the size. And then it is a very special partnership program between Shanghai City and BIE, and we are authorized as the only official museum and official documentation center of BIE. And our mission is to carry on the Expo legacy and to expand the Expo effect. As our mission statement shows, we are trying to build the museum into an exhibition center, a promotion center, educational and training center, documentation center for the course of Expo-related cultural exchanges. And as the official museum, we serve not only the Chinese visitors, but also all the BIE's 170 member states and the global Expo communities. And I would like to show you some of our content. In our permanent exhibition, we tell the stories about 3 parts. One is the history of World Expo since the very first Expo in 1815. The second part is the commemoration of Expo 2010. And the third part, also very interesting part, is the future vision of the ongoing history of Expo, including preview of the recent and the future Expos. For example, the Dubai Expo is one of important focus of our recent jobs. In our exhibition hall, we will preview some of the latest progress of the Dubai Expo and try to call on the attention from the Chinese visitors and foreign visitors to the museum. And also, the theme of today's panel is the journey from Shanghai to Expo to Dubai on the Expo theme. We are glad that we started the partnership with the organizer of Dubai Expo since 2018. For example, we had the first World Majlis in Shanghai in December 2018 with the theme of Cities, Future Change, World Expo Experiment in Mega Change. We invited opinion and decision makers and also young students, of the observers, to exchange the opinion and wisdoms to the theme of Dubai Expo. We think it's a very good way to have theme development before the Expo and to have a better understanding between the two communities, Shanghai and Dubai. And also, we work together with the Dubai organizer to launch the roadshow for Expo 2020. And then we think that the young generation is a very important strength in making the future and connecting the world. So we have the honor to join in a program of the UAE Youth Ambassador Program. We are glad to welcome a young university students to work in our museum for more than 1 month's time. And after the trainee program here, she also practiced the Chinese, and she has some chances to exchange the views and introduce Dubai Expo to the Chinese children, etc. Besides, we work together with the Dubai organizer to help on a special exhibition with the theme of the Dubai theme. It's called Keep Radiant Design Exhibition for Emerging Designers and Artists. And it shows how the Chinese designers understand the Dubai theme. And then a very special thing is that we work together with some UAE university students of the design school to show some of the poster designs of the Dubai Expo. And also, we launched the late mascot of Dubai Expo to the Chinese visitors. I think it is very important we started working not only during the Expo period, but also before, during, and after the Expo. And at the last, I would like to show some of our plans to next year's Dubai Expo. The picture shows the side of the World Expo Museum's pavilion in a very good location in the Expo site, and we are very honored to have the support of both the organizer and BIE. And our program during the Dubai Expo is 2 parts. One is, as a normal participants, we will show a theme exhibition, forums, cultural events. Especially, we would want to organize some programs specialized, tailor-made for youth and children from the Chinese and UAE children. And on the other hand, on the B2B basis, we, as the museum, we try to do some field survey and research all the organizers and participants, and we would like to collect the archives and exhibits. Also, we will promote some media exposure and arrange some promotion program here. So that is the brief introduction, and we are very honored to join in this journey from Shanghai to Dubai, and we look forward to more of your attention and support. Thank you.
Laura, that is very, very brilliant. It's wonderful to hear about what's happening there and the vision for the future and all the kind of the good best practice you're spreading to keep the Expo going around the world. I'd like now to pass the word to Mr. Leith Carlson. I think he's in Seattle, to tell us about a little bit about Museum of the Future and your initial thought on this topic.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. And I wish I were calling in from Dubai, but unfortunately, with current circumstances, I've been stuck outside of UAE for some time now. Looking forward to returning soon. The Museum of the Future is a quite extraordinary new museum being built in Dubai. Architecturally, it's quite stunning. It's something like no one has ever really seen. And we're now about 85% complete with the construction of the building. So you can really see how extraordinary the structure itself is. It's an initiative of the Dubai Future Foundation, which for 6 years ran pop-up museum experiences as part of the World Government Summit. So we have quite a bit of experience in creating these very immersive future scenario experiences that really bring a visitor in and put them in a whole different world that we can imagine for them and create in where all the senses are engaged in a holistic experience of a potential positive future scenario. And so that's what we'll be doing inside the museum once the building is complete. And we're quite fortunate to have this incredible location right on Sheikh Zayed Road, connected to Emirates Towers in Dubai. You really, truly can't miss it. And it's also been announced that it's now right at the center of the Dubai Future District. So combining the World Trade Center, DIFC, and Emirates Towers, all in a district really focused on future of entrepreneurship, future of technology, future of pretty much everything. And it includes our 3D printed office building, as well as a bunch of other initiatives that are happening within what we call Area 2071, which is in Emirates Towers, where a lot of the initiatives run by Dubai Future Foundation also have their home. So it's quite an extraordinary project in the museum, but also in the larger future district of Dubai.
Thank you so much, Laith. That's brilliant. I'd like now to pass the word to Ms. Maha Al-Gagawi to tell us a little bit about the theme from the perspective of Dubai Expo 2020.
Sure, thank you very much, James. I'm extremely delighted to be a part of this panel discussion today. I think that the UAE-China Culture Week not only resembles the very close ties between the government of the United Arab Emirates and the government of China, but I think it's one that also fosters the common appreciation that both governments have on the importance of cultural diplomacy, on the importance of cultural exchange and global collaboration, really, which is in essence what World Expos are really about. Now, the city of Shanghai, Ms. Lorelei touched on the journey from Shanghai to Dubai. The city of Shanghai hosted an expo in 2010, which was perhaps the most successful expo in the history of World Expos. We, as Dubai Expo, have learned a lot from the exceptional Chinese experience in hosting an expo, and we very much look forward to hosting our expo in October 2021 next year. Now, when we talk about World Expos, it's perhaps worth mentioning that expos, beyond just being a 6-month event and beyond being perhaps the oldest and the largest international event in the world today, it is essentially a platform where everyone, whether it's a government, it's an NGO, a foundation, multilateral organizations, or entrepreneurs, SMEs, individuals from different backgrounds, different age groups, different nationalities, really come together. It's a platform of human ingenuity. It's a platform to learn. It's a platform to innovate, to share ideas, to talk and discuss some of the challenges that the world faces today. And I think it's the essence of it is that it's really a platform that demonstrates the power of collaboration and what can be achieved when people and governments come together. And that is really the core of Dubai Expo 2020 and what we aspire to achieve through our theme of connecting minds and creating the future.
I'd like to pass the word to Mr. Fang K, who has experience of many mega events, for your perspective on the topic. Mr. Fang?
Hello. Can you hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you. Maybe the camera. Yeah, very well. Very good.
Okay. It's a great pleasure to be here and to join the China UAE Culture Week to talk about the World Expo and the culture. And as the comprehensive strategic partnership between China and the UAE has grown rapidly, the two countries were holding the World Expo, a large international culture exchange event, successively over the past 10 years, which has brought special significance for the China-UAE ties. And first of all, let us look back at World Expo Shanghai in 2010. As we all know, China has deeply impressed the global community with Expo Shanghai under the theme of Better City, Better Life. The event has attracted 250 countries and international organization participants and a record 73 million visitors in 184 days. This grand gathering of human civilizations presented a successful, splendid, and unforgettable World Expo by which China has fulfilled its commitment that an opportunity granted China will amaze the whole world. And as one of the most popular pavilions at Expo Shanghai, the UAE Pavilion was designed to resemble the rolling sand dunes of the country's legendary desert, highlighting the UAE's changing, colorful natural beauty and cityscape. In the blink of an eye, the theme film of the UAE Pavilion deeply impressed the audience by telling the story of the dramatic development, people's life and city environment since the country was founded in 1971. So in my visits to UAE pavilions at all World Expos from 2010, 2019, I have witnessed the huge changes and growing performance at this event. China has learned a lot from this. Meanwhile, the past decade has seen dramatic changes in the world as the world is more economically and socially interconnected. The human society is being turned into a community with a shared future where our interests are closely intertwined. Mutually beneficial cooperation and mutual learning is a definite choice for common prosperity in such a global context. So it is of greater significance to hold the Expo Dubai 2020 with the theme of acting minds, creating future. And yesterday at the opening ceremony, the judge
Can't hear. No, can't. Is it that?
and light. And the pavilion will house a panda show and cultural exchanges between youth. The dining space of the China Pavilion will display the charm of Chinese food culture. As the Expo Dubai coincides with the China's Lunar New Year, UAE will work to facilitate the celebrations of the Chinese Spring Festival during the Expo. So we are very grateful for the UAE's support. As a result, China will show the world, maybe the very first time on World Expo, its cultural richness of the Chinese Lunar New Year on this global stage. So that's about the World Expo and China's participation in Expo with very good opportunity to showcase the cultural exchange between China and UAE.
Thank you, Mr. Fang. I think the cultural element from China will be a real inspiration at Dubai Expo. I'd like to ask a question, if I may, to Ms. Maha Al-Gagawi. It's about the theme of Expo, which is connecting minds, and this aspect of oneness. We're at a time when there's national borders are blocked, but actually Expo is a way of like uniting us. And like post-COVID, we need kind of like solutions to humanity like no time in history. Could you tell us a little bit about how Expo in Dubai will help to kind of share cultures?
Sure, definitely. I think in the same way as Expo Shanghai was an exceptional milestone for China in 2010, 2021 will be a significant year for the UAE for various reasons. Not only because it's the year of the Expo and it's the year where the city of Dubai will be hosting the first World Expo in this region, but in 2021, this nation will be celebrating its golden jubilee, 50 years of achievements and prosperity. But also in 2021, through Expo 2020, it could possibly be the largest human congregation post the COVID-19 pandemic. And China will play a major role in the success of Expo 2020 through its participation in what will be one of the largest pavilions on the Expo site. So if we circle back to, what are we trying to, what we aspire to achieve through hosting an event, a large-scale event in the size of Expo, Of course, as a result of the unprecedented COVID-19 crisis, it was necessary to delay our expo by a year. And as I said earlier, we'll now be opening our doors in October 2021. We are monitoring the situation very closely. Our plans are changing and evolving as the situation around the world evolves. But I think, from an expo lens, there has been a lot of lessons that have been learned from the COVID-19 pandemic. I think the pandemic has demonstrated how essential cross-border and global collaboration is to the future of humanity. Through this pandemic, we really witnessed the solidarity of humans and really the solidarity or singularity of humanity and that shared common fate of humans worldwide. The world is definitely going through a challenging time. The UAE is more adamant than ever in hosting a World Expo that reflects not only the vision of the leaders of this country and the people of this country and this region, but really the aspirations of humanity. Humanity that is currently struggling around the world, humanity that is looking for hope for the future. People want to feel that they're part of a community. People want to feel that they can come together for a common purpose. And I think now more than ever, our theme of connecting minds, creating the future is more relevant, is very relevant. Over 190 countries, 192 countries to be precise, will be in the same place for a duration of 6 months. So you literally have the world at your hands. So I think it's a very unique opportunity for the UAE to host humanity on its soil. But I think what the UAE government aims and aspires to create through hosting an event like Expo 2020 is to showcase what is possible when governments and individuals and companies and thought leaders and entrepreneurs, NGOs and foundations come together. It's a true demonstration in the sense of what is possible when, the power of collaboration, when all of these people come together to share ideas, to innovate, to learn, to discuss some of the challenges that we're facing together, and how can we escalate that, and how can we post-Expo, use Expo as a launching pad, use Expo as a stepping stone, not just for this region, not for the Arab world, not for the Middle East, but really for humanity in creating economies and societies based on knowledge sharing, based on innovation, based on technology, and societies that are really focused on driving a positive global change.
Thank you, Maha. I mean, listening to you, it strikes me it's like a beautiful paradox that you've got all those countries there, 190 countries, and yet you're solving for humanity. So we're laying down the national borders, and we're kind of like solving these aspirations of humanity together, and the power of collaboration. I'd like to pass the word to Laith, and maybe you could juxtapose a little bit how an expo differs to a museum. And actually, with a museum of the future, whether countries lay down their borders on and how you tackle humanity's problems when you look far out into the future.
Absolutely, and I want to echo Maha's point. There is that the focus of the museum is even more important, I would say, in a post-COVID world than before. So we're quite fortunate in the themes and the general perspective that we've taken with the exhibitions in the museum, which are all centered on a hopeful, optimistic future, are also things that are going to be, really sought after internationally on the other side of this current crisis. So we feel also fortunate in that, and our themes within the museum do nicely align with a lot of the themes, not only from Expo 2020, but from past expos, which is probably not surprising since expos traditionally have actually been one of the only future-oriented, I would say, exhibition, that have been out there. Most museums are obviously historically focused more than future-focused, and it's only been in the last couple of years that a whole genre of future-focused museums has started to emerge. And of those, the Museum of the Future will be one of the largest. So we do take a lot of cues, from the experience of expos. I'd say where we differ is that we really do take the approach of, of future foresight and the established practices of futurism as it's currently understood, particularly as practiced by institutions like the Dubai Future Foundation, and taking that quite rigorous approach to the way that we present the materials in our exhibition. So, unlike maybe expos that are focused on national pavilions, that are focused on industry, particular companies and their innovations, we take a much broader, more global, internationalist view of really looking at a future that's quite a bit more distant as well than what you usually see at Expo. So if we're looking at a 50-year future, so we're looking at what does the world look like in 2071. So quite a ways out. And when you're looking at 2071, necessarily it is a future that's dependent on a large degree of international collaboration. The main challenges that we'll all be facing in the next 50 years absolutely rely on that. If you're thinking about the climate crisis, for instance, if we don't tackle that globally, we will not be successful. So we're looking at those situations, and we're looking at how we all might come together and create a more optimistic and hopeful future. And that's really the focus of the museum, is this longer time horizon and the perspective that it'll take all of us working together. But we very intentionally are presenting an optimistic and hopeful future, which also I think is something that people are really hungry for right now. If you think about the other genres where futurism is presented, it's typically in films or in TV, shows and in books, and they're quite dystopian often. I would say probably more than 90% of them present a future that none of us really want to live in. And I think what's great about expos and museums of the future is that we are intentionally picking a future that everyone would want to live in. And for us, it's quite important that it is a future that's accessible to everyone. This is not just a future for people, with a lot of wealth or with a lot of privilege. This is a future that's accessible broadly, and that no matter what role you might have in that future, it's a positive role. It's a role that makes you excited about being there for everyone across the planet. And I think that's also very important at a time like this, is to show that breadth of humanity coming together in this optimistic future. We're also quite focused on the human aspects of the future. When you think 50 years out, it's quite difficult to make predictions about technology. And if you look, let's say, an expo from 50 years ago, what they thought, I think every expo that's ever been done showed people in flying cars, right? And we still don't have flying cars, right? So predicting specific technologies is quite difficult. But we do know that the way that humans innovate, that the way that humans solve problems, that how creative humans can be is something that's not going to change. And all we can do is look at, okay, how might that human creativity, that human ingenuity that's inherent in us manifest itself in the future? How may it be applied to these major challenges that we have coming ahead? And in the museum, we're particularly focused initially on three main areas. One is how we might tap the resources of outer space to help live more sustainably on Earth, which is certainly a effort that China and the UAE are both involved in. We're getting ready to launch our Mars probe very shortly. And so we're quite excited about the potential for space exploration to solve needs on Earth, but that has to be done collaboratively. It has to be done internationally. That's not something that any one nation can really do effectively by themselves. We're also have a floor that's dedicated to climate change and ecosystem health and the collapse of many ecosystems globally, another initiative that must be tackled on an international basis. And finally, we have a whole floor dedicated to human health and wellness, but particularly with the focus on community and engaging with other humans and reconnecting with our senses, reconnecting with our physical bodies as we spend so much time on screens like we're doing right now. It's very important for us to reconnect with ourselves, but also, as we've seen during this crisis, the amount that people have been able to connect with their families and their communities has been really inspiring. And so we want to highlight the importance of that as well. So those are just some of the areas that we're focused on in the museum.
Laith, that's really well said. I mean, if I could bottle the optimism that was coming out, that would be something great to do, because the people are very kind of worried. The kids are very worried about robots stealing their jobs, and so to have a really optimistic vision of the future is really uplifting. And then also kind of solving things together when there's a lot of deglobalization forces around. So thank you for that.
Sure. We've been saying that we're going to be selling Dubai Optimism in our retail space.
I'll buy. Well, I drink it every day, but I'm insatiable. Thank you very much. I'd like to pass the word to Ms. Lorelei. Lorelei, the Expo is a kind of a once in a lifetime event, yeah, and you need to get the legacy right because you're spending all these resources. So what role does kind of the Expo Museum itself play in that legacy? And do you have any advice for Dubai how to, for example, repurpose the pavilions to be a legacy in the city?
Okay. And maybe I can share some of my experience in Expo 2010 in Shanghai. I spent 9 years for the preparation and organizing of Expo 2010, and then still 10 years after the Expo was finished, I'm still carry on these similar jobs in the Expos. So as the host of Expo 2010 in China, Shanghai City benefits from the Expo legacy the most. Mainly in two categories. One is the physical legacy, and the other one is intangible legacies, both of them focusing on the theme of better city, better life. And maybe I can share with you some of our examples and the legacies. As for the physical legacy, I think the most important thing is that the urban planning of the Expo site is closely combined with the long-term urban planning of the city with the purpose of optimizing the urban functions of the region. For example, originally the Expo site in Shanghai is a heavy industry zone in the city center with heavy pollutions along the Huangpu River, beautiful rivers in the city center. After the Expo, this area has been developed into a medium-sized exhibition and conference center in the city center, about 140,000 square meters of the exhibition and conference room, medium-sized. Also, this area is changed into a culture and museum zone with new galleries, museums, and theaters, and park for creative industry and premium office zones. Nowadays, the riverside, which is spread about 8 kilometers along the river in the city center, has been changed into a recreational and leisure area without commercial facilities. It is very beautiful and it is very open for the citizens. I think the second visible legacy is the transportation and infrastructure have been greatly improved. For example, Shanghai's city subway network has been increased from 180 kilometers before the Expo to the 420 kilometers with 11 lines in the year of 2010. It is nearly 2.5 times of the previous mileage. According to the surveys we undertake after the Expo to the citizens on the theme of how Expo influenced your lives, many Shanghai citizens were most satisfied by the improvement of transportation. And I think the third physical legacy is one of the innovations of Expo 2010 is the setting of urban best practice area. Some new technologies and new models displayed in Expo have been adopted in the city management afterwards. For example, we carry on lots of the practices on the low carbon emission practice with an emphasis on recycled use and environmental friendly resources. Also, the experiment of new energy vehicles and the use of bicycles during the Expo time has become more popular after the Expo. And the protection and revitalization of historic sites and heritage architectures, etc. So some of the practices in the Expo site have become a reality, and all these elaborated the theme of better city, better life. Another category is for the intangible legacies. From my personal perspective, I think Expo provides a unique platform for international dialogue and national branding, because it brings the world together to find solutions to a fundamental challenge facing humanity, just like Maha has very well explained just now. And this challenge is addressed via the Expo theme, which acts as a springboard for what participants will showcase and what intellectual and cultural events will be organized. So we think that Expo is a window of and to the world for not only host cities and countries, but also to all the participants, visitors, and stakeholders. From the Shanghai experience, the second important intangible legacy is the educational purpose, especially to the young people and children, because we think the Expo provides a wide variety of visual and sensual experience for visitors. With education as their goal, Expo spark active citizenship and shape new behaviors, increasing awareness of the challenges, advance and encourage the meeting of new culture, fostering the public understanding of interconnections. And I think after the Expo, we have a very good practice is the volunteer service become more and more popular among young generations. And during the Expo site, we arranged 80,000 volunteers inside the Expo site, but altogether there are nearly 2 million volunteers along the whole city to help with the organizing of the Expo. So we remain the logo and the uniform of volunteers of the year 2010, and then I think it's become a more popular ideas for the young generations and other people as well to contribute their personal services to the community. I think that is my experience and some example of the legacies as a whole city in the Shanghai case. But of course, as I mentioned before, the World Expo Museum will also try to share these experience and legacies of all the expos. For your information, in addition to the museum, we also established a special expo libraries in the museum, and we're trying to build a documentation center. By now, we have the largest collection of all the Expo-related archives and visual data dated back from the year 1831. So we're preparing to open the museum, the library, maybe next year. Besides, supported by BIE, we try to build up an international network of Expo-related professionals and academicians. The purpose is to carry out long-term research on the organization and operation of expos, as well as the effect and influence of the expos. These are the Expo legacies we think belong to all the Expo community members. It's a treasures for us to share. So we will try to share with the future organizers and participants while fulfilling the responsibilities of BIE's official museum and official documentation center. So that's some of the experience I would like to share with you. Thank you.
Ms. Lorelei, your passion comes through so strongly. Thank you very much. And also this sharing culture is so great to hear. And there's so much that Dubai can learn from the urban best practices, for example, environmental friendliness. I just love that story about the volunteer culture. If actually it can all rub off on the people, Dubai will be even better than it is already. Yeah. I'd love to pass to Mr. Feng now, who has experience of many mega events, and expos have to adapt to different cultural contexts, and no bigger cultural context than COVID. Yeah. So, Mr. Feng, could you tell us a little bit about the importance of culture now and how we deal with culture at Dubai Expo, and any advice to Dubai?
Thank you very much. And in this speech, I have already talked about the importance of culture, especially on the platform of the World Expo. And here, I want to make some suggestions to the organizer of Expo Dubai about cultural events. First, we have to show the cultural diversity, because diversity matters in the present day world, but sometimes we ignore it. We must fully showcase the essence of each culture to help people realize that no culture is superior than any other, and that we are having them all is the best. So, but where is this content in each pavilion? For example, in China Pavilion, as of now, 25 Chinese provinces, including Beijing, Shanghai, Shandong, and Guangdong, have intended to hold activities China Pavilion. But sometimes the participants only do that in their own pavilion. So the organizer should better work with each participant, always to inspect and observe, find something good, and bring the best culture show from a single pavilion to the whole expo. And second, culture should be shown in an innovative form. The World Expo is a platform for both culture and pursuit of innovation. Normally, we will have conventional presentations such as on-site handicraft making, song and dance performance, and playing a video. Sure, these are effective, but the most impressive ones are usually combined with the cutting-edge technologies such as AR, VR, AI, and so on, or we can
Mr. Feng, we lost your voice, unfortunately. Mr. Feng, we lost your voice. No, we can't hear your voice, actually. No, we can't hear. I don't know why. If it's okay, let's move on to the next bit, which is I'd like to ask the panelists if they have one burning question for another panelist. Does anybody would like to volunteer a question?
James, I don't have a burning question. I think it's all very, very interesting, but I want to echo some of what Miss Lorelei and Leith talked about. Leith really talked about, the concept of museums and futurism, and Miss Lorelei talked about, the physical and maybe the soft legacy that hosting an expo leaves behind. I mean, if we talk about legacy, I think any country or any city that hosts an expo has seen, a tremendous transformation, not just in terms of the urban culture, but I think in terms of the culture that expos leave behind. We at Expo obviously have thought of that. Everything we're building in terms of buildings as organizers, as Expo 2020, is being built to stay. We are repurposing the Expo site and relaunching it as District 2020. District 2020 is really a space and an area that will foster technology. Mr. Fang spoke about technology that will foster innovation and foster really partnership. I mean, we've got Siemens that will be locating their logistics global headquarters from Munich to District 2020. We recently announced Terminus Technologies, which is a China-based leader in smart technology, as our artificial intelligence and robotics Expo partner that will be also present in Expo 2020. But it's perhaps worth noting, when we talk today about museums and the culture of museums and the role that museums really have played in cultural diplomacy, I think there has really been a shift in the conventional or in the traditional definition of museums. Leith spoke about futurism. Leith spoke about, the pavilions, the 192 countries that will be present in Expo. I think in essence, museums are no longer spaces that tell stories of the past, but platforms that tell stories of the present and stories of the future. So 192 countries represented in their individual pavilions for the first time in World Expos as well, right, is a showcase and a demonstration that Dubai believes in an equal standing of each country, but essentially these pavilions are moving museums. They are vessels for countries to create their national branding, to express their identities in various forms. A visitor that would be visiting the Chinese pavilion will not only learn about the history of China, but will also be able to discover and learn more about Chinese technology and innovation, and maybe get a taster of Chinese culture, Chinese art, Chinese food. Some of the buildings we're building, the UAE Pavilion during Expo will be repurposed as the UAE National Museum post-event. The Sustainability Pavilion, which is one of the most iconic architectural buildings during the event, will be repurposed post-event to become a science and a children's exploratorium, and so on. I mean, you think of the Eiffel Tower, who hasn't heard of the Space Needle in Seattle? Even though these are not museums in the literal sense, they are byproducts of Expo that have transformed these cities into live museums. So beyond Expo being just a 6-month event, I think beyond the physical legacy that Expos or World Expos create, it's the soft power and the reputational legacy that it leaves behind is what matters.
Really great point.
Thank
And I'll point out, being outside of Seattle right now, that at the base of the Space Needle is what's now Pacific Science Center, which is in buildings that were built for the World Expo here in Seattle. So that line between, expos and museums has always been, I think, quite permeable, and it's really kind of fascinating. And I would say, Lorelei, I'm fascinated by the idea that, you have a museum dedicated to World Expos, and then you will be exhibiting yourself at a World Expo. So I think there's something really kind of magical about that, about how circular that is in a really wonderful way. And I think that's something quite new in the museum world, is to have that level of connection with your subject. And I think that's really exciting.
Yes. As I mentioned before, I talked about the young generation and children for a couple of times. So I think it's very important related to the theme of Dubai Expo, Connecting Minds, Creating Future. I think that if we say if World Expo is the powerful strength in creating future, then the young generation is the powerful strength in creating the future. So I would like to propose a question related to children, to young generations, to Lei Carson, because you are the museum professionals like our colleagues in UAE. So my question is, can I introduce some of your museum's practices and services linking to the education of children and young generation? I mean, the high school students or university students. And what are the characteristics of your programs linking to the children? Maybe we can learn of some of your experience. I think that maybe in the future, our museum is trying to be future oriented like you. So maybe we can look for some common points we can work together. So I would like to share with your experience linking to the children. Thank you.
Sure. And so in my almost 30 years of working in museums, one of my roles in the past was a designer for children's museums. So that is something that's always fun for me to work on. And I would say in this current project, we have an entire floor dedicated to children's experience. And it's probably the floor that I'm most excited about. And it's certainly the floor my daughter is most excited about. She's my tester of all children's exhibits. So she's quite excited about that. But I would say more interesting than that is the connection between the museum and Dubai Future Foundation and Area 2071. We actually have a youth hub already active in Area 2071. And we have a number of initiatives that connect to youth. We hosted the first robotics global competition this last year in Dubai, and that was a DFF initiative. We run the 1 Million Arab Coders initiative that engages young people in learning to code. And a whole bunch of other activities like that. We run Dubai Future Talks, Dubai Future Academies. So we have this incredible ecosystem within Dubai Future Foundation and Area 2071. And the museum, actually currently we're building a bridge. It's under construction. The cladding is going on, I think right now as we speak, of this bridge that connects that area directly to the museum. So visitors can come to the museum and then go directly to Area 2071 and engage in these initiatives. And I think particularly for young people, that's really critical, is that once you inspire them within a museum context, to then give them the opportunity to act on that inspiration and to do something with that energy and that they've that's been created in them through the museum experience. I think that's something most museums have a difficult time really having that direct connection to what do you do next once you've been inspired and motivated. And I think for us, it's so easy because we have the whole Area 2071 and DFF initiatives to tie into, as well as, frankly, everything else going on in Dubai. Dubai is a fantastic place for young people. So we're really interested in making as many connections outward as possible.
Thank you, Leith. Is there anything, Feng, that you would like to ask the other panelists? Can we hear you? Maybe just test the audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. First, I have to finish what I have just said. Because Expo Dubai has been postponed for 1 year, but China's passion and expectation for it keeps going high. So we all aspire to see the Expo Dubai as another milestone after the Expo Shanghai, especially in the post-COVID-19 era. And at the same time, we hope that the World Expo Dubai could help China and UAE strengthen exchange, cooperation, culture, and other fields to contribute to bringing the comprehensive strategic partnership between China and UAE to a higher level. And finally, again, it's a great pleasure to be here, and I wish this Cultural Week a full success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fang. I'll bring it to a close unless there's maybe one more comment or question from the panel.
No, it's okay.
Then to wrap up, I mean, it was very interesting to hear from Maha, who mentioned about 1851. It started with the Expo, and then Leith talked about 2071. So, and then we talked about like decades, and so time is a very important concept we've covered today. And Maha also inspired us that UAE will host the world's greatest gathering of humanity post-COVID. So, what an exciting year next year will be. And I think we heard from Lorelei and Fang. There's so much to learn from China in this journey from one of the best expos in Shanghai, and that sharing culture really came across strongly. And then also this idea that we're in it together and we can co-create together, and Dubai will be a unique milestone. And there was just a lot of optimism, which is so great and refreshing to hear. But only if you nurture and inspire the youth. And we heard a lot about the focus on youth. So really, it was a super panel. I very much enjoyed it. And I hope we've made friends as well and made connections. That's also what it's all about. Yeah, going forward, we'll be connected. So I thank you, all panelists, for the rich and insightful discussion and sharing. And as we drop off, we will be flicking the switch and seeing now a cultural performance by the China Soon Ching Ling Science and Cultural Center for Young People. So over to Mofa to flick that switch. And thank you very much, distinguished panelists and friends. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Chinese embroidery is one of the oldest existing needleworks. The four major regional styles of Chinese embroidery are Suzhou embroidery, called Suxiu in Chinese, Hunan embroidery, called Xiangxiu in Chinese, Guangdong embroidery, called Yuexiu in Chinese, Sichuan embroidery, called Shuxiu in Chinese. All of them are nominated as highly protected Chinese cultural heritage. Now I believe all of you, like me, cannot wait to start the journey with this special handicraft. 中式刺绣是当今世界现存的最古老的编织技艺之一。在当今中国，主要有4大流派，分别是苏绣、湘绣、粤绣与蜀绣。它们全部都是被中国高度保护的文化遗产。现在我相信所有的观众和我一样，都迫不及待地想踏上这一次奇妙的旅程，来一起感受中式刺绣的魅力。
今天给大家展示的是中国传统刺绣的一个过程。那我们首先呢，需要把我们的线架来去给它调整一下。我们首先要把我们的线架上的这根线跟我们的刺绣的绣面给它连接好，保持我们这个绣架的平整。我们刺绣绣出来的绣面是比较平整光滑的，所以我们第一步呢，先把这个绣架的松紧度给它调整好。好，这样的话我们就给它已经调整的比较的适中。那我们首先可以看一下现在我的这个架子上面是有已经印好的底图，那我直接在上面可以做刺绣的展示。我们中国的4大名绣有苏绣、湘绣、粤绣，还有蜀绣。那我们的苏绣是以猫这个图案为主的，它是做的一个双面异色绣，我做工非常的精细，然后也是我们苏绣的一个比较有代表性的这样的一个工艺。那我们的粤绣呢，它是一个比较立体的盘金绣的这样的一个图案，然后以我们的百鸟朝凤啊这些图案为典型的代表。我们的蜀绣它呢在四川一带，那它是以我们的图案是熊猫还有锦鲤以这些为主来去做的一些刺绣。我们的湘绣是我们 做的一些老虎、豹子、狮子这些凶猛的图案啊，还有一些我们的最中国的国花牡丹花，它也是我们的一个香绣的一个比较典型的一个代表图案。那我们可以看到，我们今天要展示的是一个荷花的一个纹样，它的这个纹样呢是代表着真善美这样的一个寓意，是比较吉祥的这样的一个寓意在里面。那我们可以看一下，这些是我们中国的传统的这个桑蚕丝的这个绣线。我们的绣线的颜色是比较丰富的，我们可以看到我手中现在的是赤橙黄绿青蓝紫的颜色是都有的，每个颜色的色系呢，它的颜色也会分上百种。那我们今天可以看到我们用到的这个颜色呢，它其实是一个比较偏藕荷色的这样的一个粉，然后还有一个绿色。那我就会在我们的这个线当中呢，把我们所用到的绣线的颜色给它选出来。这里边我们可以看到，首先我们可以选出来这个粉色是我们的花瓣的这个粉色，就直接用它来就可以了。那这个颜色呢，我们可以作为荷花的花梗的地方，然后一会儿来刺绣来用。那其实这两个颜色呢，我们还要选出来它的中间色，我们有一个过渡，有荷花的它的一个淡黄色的一个过渡，所以呢，我们的花瓣到花梗之间的过渡色，我们要给它选出来一个淡淡的黄啊。这些颜色一会儿都是要用到的颜色。那么可以看到这个我已经编好的里边啊，我们这里边是有一个这样的鹅黄色的颜色。我们可以来看一下这个丝线，它的光泽性是比较好的。那我们呢需要把它给一会儿劈开，劈开之后呢，需要给它编在我们的这个比较经常用到的这个小的这个横杆上面啊，那这样方便于我们使用。我们的这个线捆呢，它里边是已经打好的结，我们就直接可以给它抽出来，抽出来一捆就行了。然后把剩下的这些，我们可以再给它卷好之后给放回去。打开这个鹅黄色，这个淡淡的黄是很漂亮的一个颜色。拿出来一块，我们可以看到我们现在这上面的这个线呢，我们编了一个小麻花辫啊，在麻花辫在上面。那这样的话是有益于我们的线，它不容易在我们使用当中特别的乱啊。那我们现在需要把我们的这个绿色的，还有这个黄色的也给它编在上面。需要把它给剪开。我们先简单的给它编在一起啊，方便于我们使用一会儿。这样的话，我们就简单的先编一下啊，它就编好了。那我们接下来呢，就是用它们来去绣我们的这个荷花。那需要选出来我们的花瓣的颜色是这个藕粉色的。我们选抽线的时候，我们一定是不能从下面抽，如果从下面抽，上面肯定就特别的乱。那我们就需要从我们的上面开始抽，把这个丝线给它抽出来。抽出来之后呢，我们再去给它劈线。这样的话，就顺着它的这个编的这个辫子就容易抽出来了。我们将不用的线可以摆好放在前面，那我们就用这根线可以来劈线。我们的这根丝线呢，可以给它分成2份，我们可以看到它其中的一份呢，就是我们叫易绒啊，这个颜色，这个是我们直接就分成了1/2丝啊。因为我们平时刺绣的时候打底我们用到的丝线呢，它是8丝。 就是这一股丝，一绒是8丝，我们可以看到它的丝线是比较的细的，相当于一根头发的粗细。那我们这一绒呢，还可以再分为8丝。那我们正常呢是打底的时候，我呢是要用1/4丝，那我可以再给它劈出来1/2。那我们把这个一绒的线给它分成4份吧。这个相当于我们把我们的头发也给它劈成了4份啊，一根头发是非常的精细、非常的细的啊。我们用它来去穿针啊，这个针孔是非常的小，非常的小。那我们穿针的时候呢，是需要我们有一定的耐心，然后来去穿针引线。好，这样就穿进来了。我们的刺绣正常是不打结的，我们穿进来之后呢，我们就直接可以在我们的这个底稿上面进行绣制。那我们可以先绣这个荷花的这个下面的这个小朵。起始的位置呢，我们一般会选择在它的中间部分，往两边去逐渐的刺绣会比较的好一些。这个匹的丝越细，你绣的可能速度就会越慢。你如果是匹的丝稍微粗一点，它呢绣制出来可能就稍微会快一点。这样的一个荷花的时间的话，估计得有半个小时左右吧。 我们这次做的是一个创新的这样的一个项目呢，它是一个丝带绣。我们的这个主题呢是丝路中阿，锦绣繁华。我们可以看到整幅作品是传统的刺绣工艺在基础上做了一个创新。那它是一个机绣的这样的一个作品，整个图案呢是我用两国的建筑来去进行的一个设计。我们可以看到有中国的天坛、中国的电视塔、国家大剧院，到阿联酋的代表性的建筑卡布扎比清真寺的大教堂、帆船酒店，还有迪拜塔这样的一个整体的一个设计。这个其实它的灵感来源呢是我们的古丝绸之路，也代表着两国的友好建交。那我们接下来就以创新的丝带绣的方法来去制作一些漂亮的一些花卉。那我们用粉色的丝带盘一个漂亮的花朵，玫瑰花。花心这样就盘出来了，我们可以看到这个花朵是非常好看的。我们需要把这个花给固定一下。好了，我们的这个花朵盘好了，我们把它加到我们的整幅的画面当中。可以给它固定一下，拿针线再给它缝一下。这是一朵永不凋谢的玫瑰花，特别的花就不好搞。我们的整幅的画面呢，现在制作好了。我们可以看到我们的上面的几朵花呢，都是用手工盘出来的，而且呢，它是有不同的颜色，然后去代表着这样的一个繁荣的这样的一个景象。那我们可以现在把它给装裱起来。这是我们的一个木质的一个相框，我们把它装到相框里面。 这样整幅的这个作品就制作完成了。